Great, thanks, Brandon. Watching Syracuse, this is really, I think Fran's done a great job with that program. Spent a lot of time watching them last year, and honestly, what they did offensively was phenomenal. They set a couple dozen school records and led the nation in passing, and had some productive performances almost every week. And so I saw a lot of those in the things I was doing last year, just watching them and keeping kind of track of how efficient they were offensively, and particularly passing the ball. And one of my coaches also had worked there, so and so then coming into this year, with a new quarterback and kind of second year in the program, it was unfortunate that the quarterback got hurt, but Ricky Collins has stepped in there and has got a little different skill set, but nevertheless very dangerous with the ball in his hand, great athlete, very good runner. And you can just see him getting better every week. I mean, he's only played a couple weeks here, but every time he steps on the field, and I thought he was better last week as well. It's going to continue to get better. This is a really football team that obviously beat Clemson and has played some very good football in spurts against, so is SMU, Georgia Tech, two of the better teams in the conference. I mean, they really do a good job. They're very well coached. They're very aggressive. They do an excellent job defensively with their coverage schemes and the coordination of their defense. They brought in Coach Brown to, I'm not sure exactly what his role is, but he's had a lot of success defensively. I've known him for a long time, going all the way back to BC, to Michigan, to Arizona, to UMass, and so forth. So he's always been a very aggressive defensive coordinator, and so I'm sure that his input into Fran's system will be consistent with what Fran's doing there and what they do defensively. So they're solid in the kicking game. They're very aggressive defensively, and offensively they get better every time they step on the field. They've played some there's some new faces out there over the last few weeks, some younger receivers. You can see there's a high level of skill there. So it's really a lot of guys to get ready for, guys in some cases that we haven't seen very much of. But the fact that they have started to play and will probably play more indicates the talent level that they possess and the explosiveness that we have to be concerned about. So short week, good to get out there and get going yesterday, Monday. It's a day ahead for us, but it's the same for them, so it doesn't matter. But it's just a faster preparation week cycle, and be excited to go up there and play in the Dome. But this is, like I said, a well-coached team, a team that's aggressive and explosive, and they're very capable of big plays and turning the ball over and making explosive plays very quickly and decisively. We've seen them do that all year.
Good start during the lockdown.
Bill, you guys have been in position to win these last two games. How do you get from right there to the breakthrough with the result on that end?
Yeah, well, it's you start all over every week. We a couple weeks ago after Cal game, you look at that game and you start all over again on Virginia, and now we start all over again on Syracuse, and we'll do the same thing next week. So each week's its own week. It's all a whole new preparation cycle. Everything's different. Players are different. Scheme's different. The environment and the atmosphere is different. So it's every week's its own entity. So that's where we are. And we do the same thing every week. That's all we've been doing every week this year, and I don't see how that can change because each week's so different.
Anything pop off the film that you noticed that you might not have in the wake of the game Saturday?
No, I think it's pretty obvious. And statistically, we did a lot of things well. turned the ball over 3 times inside the 5-yard line. You know, that tilted the game, came down to 1 play, and like a short by, I don't know, a few inches, foot, whatever it was.
Second row on the right.
Hey, Bill, Dave Nathan with the Tar Heel Sports Network. In your history of leading programs and organizations, is it more challenging to turn a team into winners or sustain excellence once you become competitive?
Well, I'll just go back to, I'd say my high school coach always used to say, it's a lot harder to stay on top than it is to get to the top. I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Bill, when season started, your defensive front, the interior especially, probably the least experienced group on the roster. If you go back and look at TCU and look at where they are now, how can you gauge or can you quantify how much better they've improved?
Yeah, well, if you go back even a little further than that, go back to the spring when, we only had, whatever it was, 3 players that had played the previous year, and then players that we added in the spring, and then some players that we've added for the fall. It's a completely new group, really. And people like Leroy, but he didn't play last year, so he didn't play in the spring. So, seeing those guys, and CJ, Melcart, Fleazy, and, Smith Filbert, and Vicky, it's all, Ty Thompson was here. He's not really a defensive lineman. He's more of an outside linebacker. But, yeah, so that group it's a new group. They've done a great job coming together, working together, playing fundamentally well together, and improving. Our strengths improved, our speed and explosion has improved, our block recognition, transition, pass rush, all that's, those guys work hard, and you can see their hard work on the practice field pay off in games. So I'm really proud of that group and the way that they've, just come together as almost a completely new team, or new unit, I should say.
You just hit on a little bit, but since TCU, you guys have not been gapped. UCF had a 25-yard run, only a couple runs longer than 14 yards, and not many 10-plus runs. What do you attribute that to?
Well, again, when teams run the ball, it's team defense. One guy can't stop a running play. You need people on the outside, people on the inside. You have to tackle well. A couple of the long runs that you referred to, particularly in the UCF game, were breakdowns on the perimeter of the defense. Anytime a runner gets outside with no run support, you're going to give up yards. So it starts with a good run force and making sure that we don't give up those easy yards, and then inside we have to defeat blocks and tackle runners. And certainly last week, we saw a good back. We saw a good back at Cal. We've seen a lot of good backs this year, and so that's part of the challenge too. It's not just being in position to make the play, but actually, getting these guys on the ground. And this week the challenge will be, in addition, the quarterback. He's really a good runner, similar to kind of what we saw from UCF. Those guys are really good with the ball in their hands too, and so it's always hard to run a quarterback because it's an extra guy. They have an extra blocker that when the quarterback hands the ball off, you don't have. So it makes the run defense a little bit more challenging. But yeah, they've done a great job. Coach Diaco's done a great job at the front, and just again the overall coordination between the secondary run force, the defensive line, the linebacker run fits, and all that. It's team defense. It's one guy can't stop a running game. I don't care who it is. Like you need more than that. You need to be coordinated on defense. So it's team defense.
Just right to the next one.
Hey Bill, a lot of players told us that second open date really sort of galvanized everyone. Everyone really came together over that second open date. For Gio specifically, has there been any advice? What advice have you given him as a quarterback to sort of block stuff out and just remain focused? Because over the last couple of weeks, he's really looked more relaxed.
Right. Look, I don't know what the narrative is out there, but I would just tell you that progress comes in small increments. You don't go from base camp to the top of the mountain, in 15 minutes. Like, it just doesn't happen that way. You, day by day, improve, correct, improve, do it again, gain confidence, gain consistency, gain a higher level of execution in your fundamentals, your communication, and so forth. And that's a process that just happens every single day if it's done right. It happens in the meeting rooms, it happens in film study, it happens in walkthroughs, it happens on the practice field, it happens in individual drills before you even get to putting the whole team together. And if you keep doing those things and keep improving in those areas, that then gradually you'll see improved performance. And so, yeah, was there progress in the bye week? Yeah, I think there absolutely was. But there's progress every day if you prepare, work hard, and understand what you need to do to get better. And so that's what this team has done on a consistent basis, and that's what we need to continue to do. Whether it's the coaching staff, individual coaches, players, the different units on the team, like we just got to keep working to improve the product that we put out there collectively, not just players on the field, but coaches as well. So I have a hard time, like all of a sudden, the switch flipped and we went from here to there. I just don't see it that way. I see it as a very gradual but consistent improvement, and that's what we need to continue to do. There's no magic wand. There's no like shake we can fix up there in the nutrition that Amber can make that like all of a sudden everything's gonna be great. Like that's just not gonna happen. We need to do it day after day, week after week, and string those together, and that's when the results become more permanent.
A lot of players told us that like when you told them that you were here to stay and weren't going anywhere, that was sort of the start to everybody really coming. Did you see almost a different team from before that to when you told them that, and see like almost something in their eye of like, okay, now we have the confirmation, I guess, in a sense from you, and now we're going to go out there and really continue doing what we've been doing?
Well, it's never been anything but that, and wherever that story came from, obviously, it's already been taken down and everything else, but it's just total, as Trump would say, fake news. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's just a novel. There's plenty of that out there too, by the way, but I'm not going to deal with that. Look, our consistency has been here since the day that, Michael Lombardi and I came in and started hiring people and come into the organization in December. We got here the same day, and we've been doing it every day, and, and that's the way it's going to be. So, I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there that want to get, clicks and views and, posts on my face or whatever. But like, it's just a bunch of garbage.
In an effort to get to everybody, we can just hold to one question. I'll get back to you if I can, but go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, the defensive line has recorded 8 sacks over the last 2 games. How important is this for this unit to kind of build on that performance last week, heading into a critical stretch of the season?
Yeah, again, it's a new challenge every week. So whatever we did last week, we got to try to build off it. Syracuse doesn't get sacked much. Again, the quarterback's very athletic. When he sees space, he can run, and they get the ball out, quickly. They have good, a lot of RPOs, so those balls come out fast as part of the running game. And it's a different style of offense than what Virginia ran. So the game, I don't think, is going to play the same way. So I don't know how many times we're going to sack them or not sack them. I mean, but it's not that kind of a game. And really, ultimately, for us defensively, it's to keep the points off the board, to keep them from controlling field position and gaining and improving field position. And to play 60 minutes of good defensive football, whatever that entails. If it's sacks, it's sacks, and it might not necessarily be that. That's not the measuring stick. The measuring stick is number 1, points, and then number 2, yards and field position. Obviously, turnovers.
Michael Farway.
Bill, with the way the last 2 games have ended, decided by less than a yard both times, do you worry at all about how the guys are doing mentally? Do you worry at all about that going into this week?
Doing mentally, what are you talking about?
Just like where they feel like, well, we're just, it just fated not to win at this point. Do you worry about that at all?
No, we control it. It's our, we're the ones that control it, so we just have to do a better job of controlling it, that's all. you're sloppy and you make mistakes against good teams, they take advantage of it. If you don't, then, you know, you're a lot better off.
Far left here, coach. Front row.
Bill, I hear what you're saying in terms of the defensive front, with it being team defense and all connected, and those guys all play off each other. I was wondering if you could point to any, I don't know, have there been any schematic adjustments in recent weeks that may have unlocked, better play from the defensive front? Because, it looked like winning football defensively at Cal, and obviously against UVA, you guys were great defensively with the front. I mean, anything you can point to there where maybe there's a better understanding or you're doing something different schematically?
Right. Again, I hate to sound like a broken record on this, but if you play teams like Clemson that run a lot of counter plays and run a lot of perimeter plays, is different than playing a team that runs a lot of inside zone. It's just different. So the scheme and the fundamentals, and I'd say that the awareness and techniques that you would use against one team are different than the next team. And so is there some carryover in terms of defeating blockers in front of you and double teams and reach blocks and back blocks and things? Yeah, sure, there's some fundamentals, but as far as team defense, it really is about defeating team offense. You just can't, I just don't believe you can do the same thing against Clemson that you would do against Syracuse, that you would do against TCU, that you would do against Richmond. I mean, they're all different. So I think you got to play them differently. And so that's what we try to do. And the players done a good job in, I would say, as we've gone through week to week, to understanding that exactly that like this isn't last week, and how we played it last week is going to be a little bit different this week, and we need to make that transition and adjustment, and then that also comes from practice, right? And so our players on the practice field doing things the way that our opponents do it, so that we can get a realistic look in practice, and it doesn't come to the game. And this is really the first time we've seen it, because it wasn't a good look in practice. And so again, it's all part of the process of every person's role in the team is important, whether they're a starter or a player who works to help his teammates get better while they're developing, whether it's in the kicking game or offense, defense. Like, as each player improves in his position and his role, it strengthens the team, and it helps improve the guy on the other side of the ball. And that competition, forces us to execute and perform better. So that's what we're trying to do, and in every phase of the game.
Second row left, Brian. Brian Murphy, WRL. You mentioned Michael Lombardi. He was the first guy you brought with you. Why did you want him to be here? How do you see him sort of adapt to this role, first time in this position? And what do you see moving forward in terms of that position and what general manager means in college football?
Yeah, right, Brian. We've already talked about that a lot. I mean, you certainly need somebody else with the way the college game is now, with the recruiting and NIL money and everything else that's going on. Like, there's no way I could do it. Maybe there's other coaches that could do it. There's no way I could do it. So, he's done a great job of all that. I'd say let's keep the conversation on Syracuse, because that's really where we are right here. And, what he's doing to help our program is monumental. But honestly, I'm just trying to focus on the Syracuse game right now.
Front row here on the left.
Yeah, the other day after the game, you were saying turnovers were, the number one problem. Obviously, it was 3 other day, and it's called 2 against Cal. I guess on the spot, in games, I guess kind of what are some of the ways in which you guys as a staff kind of go about, adjusting that, and even in practice, seeing how they've kind of piled up the last couple of games, how you go about, tightening up the ball security, and making sure, I guess, the decisions, in-game decisions, whether it be a quarterback or a running back or whatever, is kind of better to, protect the ball.
Yeah, well, again, it starts understanding, how to do the right things, how to protect it, how to handle the ball properly, and then using drills, because sometimes it's hard to simulate those situations in practice. They just come up kind of randomly based on where the runner is, how he's got the ball, where the tackler is, and so forth. So you set up individual drills that simulate more common situations. And keep repeating those so that the players who handle the ball have a consciousness of ball security and protection. And we just have to do a better job of it. Like I think if you talk to our players, I'd like to think that they would tell you that we have gone over everything and that they know how to do it. Sometimes, when you're thinking about, gaining yards or scoring or whatever, sometimes the focus is not on ball security maybe as much as that should be. And the same thing defensively. You're trying to make a tackle, but when there's an opportunity to get the ball out, sometimes you can do both. You can make the tackle and get the ball out. Ty Thompson's done a great job of that the last 2 weeks. He had two plays that were, where he tackled the quarterback, but on both of those plays, he combined tackling with the quarterback with a very aggressive strip on the quarterback's throwing arm to get the ball out. And so that's kind of the idea. And it's the same thing on the flip side of it is, we're trying to gain yards, but we're also trying to gain yards with, excellent ball security and not ever giving the defense not only a chance to get it out, but not even showing them that, hey, here's an opportunity. Because the runners that don't take care of the ball when they're in space just kind of send a signal to the defenders that, oh, it's loose. I wasn't even thinking about stripping it, but now I see the ball. When I get closer to them, now that kind of triggers that get it out response. So it's ball security 24/7. It's all the time. And it doesn't matter who has the ball. The center, quarterback, a running back, a receiver, punt returner, kickoff returner, a defender who intercepts or recovers a fumble and advances it, anybody who touches the ball. And so it wasn't just the fumbles, it was, opportunities to recover fumbles, it was a muff punt, we had other ball security things that, some hurt us, some didn't, but in the end, you want that ball security on our side of it to be zero. We're 100% taking care of the ball, and we took advantage of every opportunity we could to take it away. And so in practice, you balance that with trying to take the ball away, but not at the expense of injuries and being reckless on defense. So do we punch at the ball? Do we grab at the ball in practice? Absolutely. And those points are reemphasized. That's a great job. That's what you want to do. But at the same time, we don't want to do it in a way that is detrimental to the health and safety of our football team. So there's a little bit of a balance there, that knowing how to practice and how to practice effectively is, I would say, another thing that we've improved on over the course of the year, and therefore our practice quality is higher. Not that you guys can see that, I'm not saying that, but the practice quality is just at a higher level than what it was earlier.
Shelby, and we'll finish up on the front right.
Shelby Swanson with the News of Missouri. Talked about Gio specifically, and obviously the improvement you've seen from him, the defense, but just for the offense as a whole, what are you seeing as any signs of improvement maybe over the last 2 games, and what is the next step that you think the offense has to take forward?
Well, our biggest goal offensively is we've got to score more points. And that's why they put a scoreboard up there. We just got to score more points. We move the ball, but getting points for moving the ball. It's got to cross the end zone, or you got to kick it between the uprights, and we've missed on too many of those opportunities, scoring opportunities in the red area, and so we're missing on too many opportunities, and they're team opportunities, not just one guy. But we've got to do a better job collectively of finishing our drives, finishing our plays, and having the result that what we feel like should be the result at the end of the play, but it hasn't always been that way. So.
Really quick on that, you brought up again finishing the drives, the red zone turnovers. I think you guys had 5 tied for most in FBS. Just what stands out maybe about some of the red zone inefficiencies that you guys have been able to kind of look at film?
Yeah, well, the plays that happen are the ones that happen, but believe me, there's other examples in games where, in practices rather, that need to be corrected and as well as improved on. So we obviously got to do a better job of that. It's just, start with the coaching and decision making and, player execution on the field. But, we got to do a better job of coaching it, and we got to do a better job of executing it.
Last one, right front row.
Hey Coach, Jeremiah Talcho, Charles on this side. What have you seen out of Madrid Tucker during practice that has led him to getting playing time during this part of the season? Yeah, those 8 receptions last time out against Virginia.
Yeah, well, like a lot of players who are new to the program and either got here, particularly in June, in that June, July area, that were a little bit behind other players in terms of knowledge, experience, playing experience at this level and so forth. But, you know, as we've practiced more and competed more, the gap has narrowed, and some of those players have showed that they are ready to compete on this level and have earned more playing time. And so, you know, at the receiver position, you know, Madrid's done that, Schnard's done it, you know, Nate's done it. So, you know, Juju did it as a running back. So we have guys who are playing more than they did earlier in the year because they have shown that they're, I think, in our opinion, they've shown in competitive situations that they're ready for those opportunities. And then how they do with them what they do with them when they get them, that's, again, obviously up to them. But in some cases, those guys have shown that they can do it competitively in games after they've earned the opportunity to do it, and then they'll get more opportunity. And there's been other cases where we thought players are ready, and and they weren't as ready as maybe they need to be, so they have to go back and they have some more work to do before they're really ready to play and take on a bigger role. So, we'll see how it goes. And sometimes it's, one good performance and then one not so good one. Sometimes it's one not so good one and then one good one. And so, time will tell on that, but we just do the best we can to give the players who earn the opportunity. We do our best to give them that, and then it's up to them to, perform with that chance.
Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.